Okay, listeners, viewers, here we go with a rumour, and this rumour surrounds Uncharted Drake's Fortune. That's correct, the original Uncharted, the PS3 classic that sparked one of Sony's biggest franchises, is reportedly getting a remake, like everything else. Now, Davey, I've got a couple of questions for you, and we've also got a listener question to back this up. But let's have a quick discussion about what you hope from this remake and what would it change to the original formula? What are you expecting? What would you love to see with this? And could you see this happening?
2 words for you, mate. Eddie Raja. I want to see Eddie Raja survive. That guy was an absolute don, a proper G, and he went out, and he should never have. I love Eddie Raja, so hopefully he comes back with gold pistols and he's in to live another day, because that's all I really need. But in all seriousness, the first game is a bit ropey, right? You go back to it, and Uncharted 2 was such a fundamental leap above the first one in every single way, like bigger scale, better scope, gameplay much better, story is just expanded so much that I think if any of them need a remake, it is definitely Uncharted 1, 100%. And I could see this happening. I think this is a true thing. I think this would make sense for someone to be working on this. What I want, basically, is just the things that got introduced in Uncharted 2, 3, and 4 to be brought back into 1. Obviously, the thing I don't want is that fucking rope. I don't want that mechanic, which just flooded through all of Uncharted 4. But I want the same kind of polish, the expansiveness, the way the game feels and the way cutscenes are delivered and everything in Uncharted 2 and 3 is such a step up that putting that revisionist history back onto 1 will heighten 1 to such a huge level. What about you?
Well, from my point of view, the original Uncharted, okay, so we're talking about Drake's Fortune here, it came out in 2007. I think that was PS3 days, right? So long ago. So I'm quite surprised that it hasn't happened now, because it's the way we kind of consume video games, right? They're on a cycle that every couple of years we get a remake, an upscale, a reimagine, a director's cut, whatever you want to call it, a cash in, some people will say about certain games. Now, this is happening the same for Uncharted, and I'm very glad they're starting at the beginning and working it the way through, because I haven't got the stats in front of me, but I can safely assume Drake's Fortune wasn't the most successful out of the franchise. We're not doing Metal Gear here and jumping in with the fan favorite just to cash in. We are starting from the beginning and working through like we should. Now, it's a no-brainer. It's obvious it was going to happen, but it was just a matter of time. They were just going to remake the game, refine the assets, the same as they did for The Last of Us. And personally, Uncharted 4, it didn't leave me with the best aftertaste after completing that game. So I'm glad they've waited some time now before announcing this, before going back and remaking these games, because I think if they had gone into Drake's Fortune straight after Uncharted 4 as a remake, I probably would have given it a miss, because I've had enough of that rope that you alluded to, Davey, because that spoilt it. There was too much repetition within Uncharted 4. And when we get to that remake, I really hope that's a reimagining. They want to do something different with that and take a hard look at themselves, because Uncharted 4, it just didn't hit for me. But as I said, Drake's Fortune coming back, it's a plus point for me, because I did love that game and I love that franchise, and we've got 2 and 3 to come, and those were the 2 that I really, really enjoyed. So the future's looking very, very bright if this is to be believed. But Davey, you've answered my introductory questions. Now I've got a question from a viewer.
There once was a show some time ago that asked 4 questions every fortnight or so. It became so rare they weren't prepared to have a versatile rhyme. Oh God, I'm scrambling now to get a word that rhymes, so how can I wrap this up? I'll take this mail and go.
Every time I hear that intro for the listener mail, send shivers. We need more listener mail. And the way you do that, we've got multiple ways. You can email in to pswetrust@gmail.com. You can tweet us or X us or whatever they call it now over on X or Twitter. I don't know what we're calling the website. You just at in pswetrust or Davey, myself, or Spencer. All the URLs will be in the description below. But guys, surprise, surprise, who has messaged in to us? Who has replied? That's right. It's the hot dog himself, Mr. Lurian. He's back again with a cryptic question for us. And he asks, would you rather a known third-party studio remake Uncharted like Blooper did for Silent Hill 2, or like Blooper is doing for Silent Hill 2? A brand new, unproven studio spun up and partnered with Sony, i.e. a second party like Ballistic Moon was with Until Dawn, or 3, Naughty Dog themselves remake the game. So Davey, 1, 2 or 3, what are we talking about? Are we talking about a known studio, an unknown studio, or are we handing it back to Naughty Dog and saying, run this back, motherfucker?
So those are my choices. Because I would have liked to have had another option in here, number 4, and then say it's one of the other studios that PlayStation own. Because we don't know all their projects, and there's rumors being doing the absolute gambit that there are other studios within Sony themselves that are looking to do it, namely Ben's studio. So the guys who made Days Gone, there's been rumors doing the gambit for a while that they're on the case for a Naughty Dog remake. I would love that as an option, but seeing as that is not on the cards, and this is what Lurian has asked, out of these 3 options, I don't want Naughty Dog doing it themselves. I agree with you, Lurian, that I don't want them to be distracted with anything else. They've wasted enough time with the multiplayer project for Last of Us 2, and it's time for them to just knuckle down and to get this new IP out the door and give it to us, because I'm very fucking hungry for it. So that leaves me with either a known third-party studio, like Bloober, or a brand new unproven studio spun up and partnered by Sony. Out of those 2 options, do you know what? I'm going to go for a brand new, unproven studio spun up and partnered by Sony. Sony, at the moment, are on an absolute win when it comes to second-party relationships. You think of all the games that are coming out from the China project. They've now got the India project, which is cooking up some absolute stormers as well. I think one thing for certain this generation is that Sony have been really hitting gold when it comes to the second-party things. They strengthened the relationship they have with Square, with the way that they're handling the Final Fantasy series. They're really hitting gold with Arrowhead right now, and that's a second-party relationship. They're just nailing it. Stellar Blade looks insanely good, and that's a second-party relationship. All these things are just reaping reward for the PlayStation Nation right now. And I think with so many developers that are being laid off at the moment, like 1900 going from just Activision Blizzard themselves, there's a lot of talent in the market that have nowhere to go. And all you have to do for PlayStation is to go after some of these people that are really prolific across all of these development studios, like all the Embracer Group with all those guys going through what they're going through. There's a lot of untapped talent that could find a home in a brand new studio that starts off second party, releases this, gets on the good front of PlayStation, and then will get offered more money to do things. And next thing you know, we're talking next generation PS6, they end up joining the family. That's how we've got some amazing studios in the past working with PlayStation that have then become first party. And I think it starts here. And when you've got this amount of talent that's available out in the marketplace right now looking for a home, it's time when Sony can come by and say, hey, we got this project that we're looking for a home. Do you think you guys could do it? And then someone says, yeah, let me get a team together. Goes out, gets a team of all these amazing developers that have gone from really prestigious studios and can create a super force. And you think like Respawn came from one of these things, right? Like they were all ex-COD developers that then just went off to do their own thing and made like Apex Legends and then made Jedi and all these different projects. You can really make gold with the amount of people that have gone. And sure, some of them have already been snapped up now in, Haven and all these different developers, but there's a lot more out there. And that would be my money. That would be the option that I would choose if I was Sony Big Brass. What about you, Phil?
Well, I think we can all agree, and Lurin included, that we don't want Naughty Dog to be spending their time remaking Uncharted. Although they are the guys that developed it, that created their game. This is their IP, so they would know it best. But as I alluded to earlier, I didn't like what they did with Uncharted 4. So I think we need to bring in a new kind of viewpoint on the series. Now, I don't want them to really change too much when it comes to Drake Fortune. As I said, let's just improve the visuals and then just patch up things to bring it to the newer consoles, to bring it to PS5 if we're expecting it in the next couple of years. But hell, it might even get on the PS5 Pro, but that's a topic for a different time. But Davey, unfortunately, I'm going to have to disagree with you, and I'm not just doing it to be contrary here, because I think Uncharted, when you say that name, it has some gravitas. It has a certain level of distinction within the world of PlayStation. And I think it's too risky to give it to a brand new, unproven studio out there. Now, as much as Blooper's version of Silent Hill 2 isn't looking the best, now we've got high hopes for Silent Hill and what they're going to be doing there, and fingers crossed they can polish that turd a little bit further, because it looked a little ropey when we saw those visuals. I'm really hoping for a third party, a known third party, so option one, to come in and remake Uncharted, but stick closely to the source material. And I want them to work with Naughty Dog closely on this one, because I don't want any problems on launch. And I know the Uncharted collection, when that came out, there was a lot of grumblings around the release of that. Now, I don't want that to go down there, because we're starting off a new track here, aren't we, with Uncharted? We're bringing it back to life. Now, this is the make or break for the series. If this isn't successful, we're not going to get 2 and 3. And as I said earlier, Davey, 2 and 3 is where my money's at. 2 and 3 is where my interest is at for the series. They were my favourite, specifically 3. So I hope we get that far into this. So fingers crossed. As I said, I've chosen a known third-party studio coming in, remaking Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, doing a good job, working closely with Naughty Dog, and then progressing through the series. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, you've got the goodwill to be able to do something special there. That's what I'm hoping for.
Oh, I'll tell you what, either option would fucking kick ass. I think if Naughty Dog did it themselves, I'd be gutted. I really would. But any other option apart from that is good times all round. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I am. Is there a studio that you ideally would like to go and make this?
To be honest, I find this such a difficult question, because I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me of all the projects all the different development companies are sort of working on at the time. And I know on a previous show, you absolutely rinsed me for picking, I think, one of the God of War producers, I think it was. And I was saying if they were coming back, they could bring back a Heavenly Sword. So unfortunately, no. I'm just putting it out, I'm putting it in Sony's hands, and I'm saying they would make the best decision on this one, rather than just me sat on a podcast picking out a name from a hat.
Fair enough. I think for me, if I could go for any studio in the world, and they're not third party, it would just be Blue. It wouldn't be Blue.
It'll be Blue Point.
It would be Blue Point, baby. Yeah, of course it would. It would have to be Blue Point. Like, they're the best at remaking it. I know they did, and you were saying about like the struggles with the Uncharted trilogy. Well, they were the ones who first went back and did it, and it was fine for consoles. But then the PC launches for Uncharted 4, I think, was a bit ropey, and a few of the others that they had on there. I think that's where it was. But yeah, Blue Point would fucking kill it. But do I want them working on this? No, fuck no. You got Bloodborne to remake. So, you know, Jesus Christ, don't go here. Stay away, Blue Point, because you got too much to do. You got a new Resistance you're working on, new Legacy of Kain.
Now we're dreaming. We're dreaming.
Yeah. They got everything else to do. So, no, I don't want them working on this, but they would be the best because they're just fucking untouchable. But, yeah. All right, well, I'll tell you what, audience, if you've got any ideas for which third-party studio you would like to see take the reins of Uncharted, let us know right into the email pswetrust@gmail.com, or hit us up on any of the socials and we will include it in episode 86, which will be in 2 weeks' time. But let's move it on to the topic.